Today we have the Precision Chassis K3185 lower and K3134 upper ball joints that fit the Jeep Wrangler from 2018 to 2007. Precision Chassis ball joints are engineered to excel under all working conditions, with greasable sintered bearings for extra durability and included hardware and installation aids.
In preparation, be sure you have all the proper tools, most importantly, a ball joint press with the correct adapters and cups for the job, as well as a calibrated torque wrench, a ball joint and tie rod separator, and all the proper PPE to keep you safe. To begin, properly lift and support the vehicle. Remove the wheel, then separate the outer tie rod end from the knuckle and safely secure it out of the way. Note, when working on the passenger side, you will also need to separate the drag-link from the steering knuckle. Next, remove the brake caliper. Securely hang it so there is no tension on the hose. Then remove the caliper bracket with the pads and remove the brake rotor. Disconnect the ABS sensor lead behind the inner fender, unclip it from its mounting points, and pull it out of the way. Leaving the sensor in the knuckle and removing the sensor lead will prevent damaging the sensor if it is stuck in the knuckle. On these applications, you can save time by removing the axle shaft and wheel hub together, so it's not necessary to remove the axle nut. Remove the 3 bolts securing the wheel hub to the knuckle and remove the wheel hub and axle shaft. Remove the upper and lower ball joint cotter pins. Loosen the upper ball joint nut. Remove the lower ball joint nut. Separate the ball joints from the knuckle, then remove the upper ball joint nut and remove the steering knuckle. Now select the proper cups and adapters for the upper ball joint. Assemble the ball joint press and remove the upper ball joint. Next, assemble the press tool for the lower ball joint and press it out. Use emery cloth and cleaning discs to remove rust and corrosion from the bores and surfaces of the steering knuckle. The lower ball joints feature low-profile grease fittings and come with a special grease gun adapter. Prepare to install the lower ball joint by marking the steering knuckle in the intended location of the grease fitting, as shown here. Position the ball joint so the grease fitting is aligned with the mark on the steering knuckle. Install the ball joint press, and rotate the pressing screw to install the joint in the knuckle. Work slowly at first to make sure the ball joint is not crooked or misaligned as it is pressed into the knuckle. Continue to press it in until it is fully seated. The lower ball joint comes with the boot staller accessory, which allows the boot to be installed with equal pressure around the outside. Once the lower ball joint is pressed into the knuckle, use the boot staller to hold the boot to the ball joint, ensuring the boot is aligned properly. Then gently strike the boot staller with a mallet until the boot is seated. Now install the upper ball joint. Note that it features both a sliding and swing movement between the stud and housing to compensate for variation in the axle assembly. Prepare the press tool with the proper adapters and install the upper ball joint. Install the grease fitting in the top of the joint. Before installing the steering knuckle, inspect it closely for any signs of damage or wear. Clean and inspect the ball joint tapered bores for out of roundness. Clean the tie rod, ball joint, wheel hub, and brake caliper mounting ears, and apply a thin layer of grease on the ball joint mounting ears to allow the new ball joint boots to slide against this surface. Rotate the ball joint studs so the cotter pin hole will be accessible after knuckle installation. Then slide the steering knuckle onto the ball joint studs and install the ball joint castle nuts by hand. Don't forget the bracket for the ABS sensor harness located under the upper ball joint nut. Due to the sliding feature of the upper ball joint stud, the torque sequence is critical. First, tighten the lower ball joint castle nut by hand until it is fully seated.
Next, torque the upper ball joint castle nut to 70 foot-pounds. Then torque the lower ball joint castle nut to 70 foot-pounds. If necessary, additionally tighten the upper ball joint castle nut just until the next opening lines up with the cotter pin hole and install the cotter pin.
Make sure the steering knuckle sweeps freely through the full range of motion. Grease the upper and lower ball joints, then apply anti-seize to the wheel hub bore. During reassembly, clean the inside of the rotor and wheel hub mounting surface. An extra axle nut and lug nut can be used to hold the rotor in place to aid in reassembling the brakes. Always follow the factory service manual for correct procedures and torque values.